people have been heading to the theaters, and before watching Wicked, the Snow White trailer is playing. Now, this is the Disney live-action Snow White that is supposed to be coming out in 2025, starring Rachel Zegler as the fairest of them all. And there's been a lot of controversy. You know, Rachel Zegler said that this new version of Snow White was going to be more feminist. She's going to be a girl boss. She's going to save herself. The prince doesn't save her, which is really the plot of the original Snow White. So I'm not sure how it's going to measure up. She's come out against Trump supporters, saying that Trump supporters should never know peace after the 2024 election, which is just an insane thing to say. She also said a big F you to Donald Trump and to those who support him. So she's been really active out there on the PR trail, shall we call it. And it seems like people have been coming after her. Maybe even some Disney executives said like, hey, we cannot allow this to happen, especially for somebody who's supposed to be the fairest of them all. She can't be saying things like this on the internet, because she did come out and apologize after her whole post went viral. We know she doesn't mean it. She said she was in the throes of an emotional reaction to this election, but I doubt it. I think we got to see how she truly felt, as we've been seeing how she truly feels in a political sense all throughout her very short career in Hollywood. Mind you, she has not been here for long, but it has been a meteoric rise. And Snow White now has a trailer. It's been playing before the Wicked movie. If you've gotten the chance to see it, we're going to react to some of it right here, right now.
A place of fairness, like the Queen. Change everything. Take him away, Your Majesty.
What did you say?
The people need some kindness.
You know, I really don't remember you being this opinionated.
Magic mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest of them all?
Famed is thy beauty, Majesty. But the lovely maiden I now behold.
I look at you, and I just want to be fairest of them all.
The queen is evil. You must flee into the woods.
My parents always said this forest was a magical place.
The CGI, I can't. I mean, I just have to say, like, isn't the point of live action that you're like bringing to life what we would have seen in animation prior, and now they're just giving all of it to us in CGI, which, like, fair. I don't know how well they can pull off like the whole trained animal element of it, but please. No?
Is there anybody here? What did you think I was?
Nothing. Ghost. You'll be safe from the queen here.
The Queen stole everything from all of us.
I'm gonna need your help.
It's time to restore our kingdom.
Find Snow White.
Our kingdom, and now we're here to take it back.
You were saying? I'm sorry, my dear. Did I frighten you?
So there you go. That's your new Snow White, and you can already sort of feel it. Can you feel it, guys? Can you feel the girl bossification of Snow White? I mean, in the original Snow White, as I'm a major fan of the first animated version of this film, Snow White is just like a little teensy, 13-year-old girl who is, you know, very demure, very mindful. You know, she's got a strength to her, but it's a strength that is very much like juxtaposed with the femininity that you can feel deep within her. And she like carries this femininity with her, especially when she's met with these 7 dwarves who are very masculine and, edgy and abrasive, and they're living in an untidy home, and she comes in and brings the femininity, and with the femininity, it brings balance to these men, and they build a relationship with her and decide to help her. And the very same you can see with the prince, who is just so enamored by this like ultra feminine presence that exists in Snow White. I think we got like 2 seconds of the prince in this trailer. So who knows? Rachel Zegler said in her original sort of PR touring that she was doing on the subject of this film that the prince might be cut totally because he's not even important. And he's a stalker anyways. He was a stalker in the initial Snow White, not somebody who was enamored and in love with Snow White, but a stalker. So he might just get cut from this movie after all. And it seems like that might just be the case, given that we got 2 seconds of him in the trailer. Now we get to see the 7 dwarves, who are now the 7 CGI dwarves. Originally, they were the 7 magical diversity hires, and we had like all these different adults of various ages and races with one, I believe, a little person, one person with dwarfism. And now they're just completely cut. There will be no dwarf actors at all working on this film. And in a live action, which means we're supposed to translate from animation to real life people, we are getting just overproduced CGI dwarves that look, I don't know, very strange in my opinion. And they're now going to dance around Snow White, which means, presumably, where this would have been like a live action interpretation of Snow White, she probably spent a lot of time just with green screen and little figures and talking to nothing there. Oftentimes they use tennis balls. I think that's what they used in The Little Mermaid, as she was speaking to the different fish and sea creatures. So I mean, it seems like it's going to be a lot of that. And I can't help but think that that translates in the way that you act, because you don't have anybody to really bounce energy off of. You're just sort of marking and doing what needs to be done in order for the scene to translate once they computer generate everything that you're actually going to be dealing with on screen. So I don't have high hopes. Wow, thank you. Dad joke. For this movie upon seeing the trailer. And I don't know that I should, given that Rachel Zegler has at every moment where she could sabotage herself before this film coming out, chosen to do exactly that by attacking the fan base. If anybody was really going to love a live action Snow White, it would have been conservative individuals who have a love for Disney and have a love for that sort of traditional masculine feminine framework that was presented in the original Snow White's animation. And now that's gone and it's been stripped away, and people were already upset about that. But she chose to really just like drive the nail into the metaphorical coffin in going forward and doing this. And of course, there's the obvious question, like, how are they going to figure out the kiss and the meeting of the prince and the apparent stalking that he does in the initial film? Because a lot of the leftist posturing surrounding Snow White initially was over that non-consensual kiss that exists at the end. That even if you are unconscious and going to die, if you don't get a kiss from this man, him kissing you without somehow waking you from your unconscious state to ask you if he can save your life, if he doesn't do that, it's non-consensual. He's sexually assaulting you. That was the initial complaint about Snow White. How they're going to sum that up and fix it, I have no idea. Please, please, please don't make it something where she's like asking him, or like it's her. She's the one who actually makes the kiss happen in the end. I don't know. It's going to be strange, whatever it is, though. And I can't imagine they're going to leave that in its original state for this live action remake.
I just have a feeling this is going to completely flop. And I think you're right. They're abandoning the classic, story framework for this girl bossified version. People are tired of that. People are tired of live action remakes generally. It's tough because every time they do make a new movie that's original, it's kind of following the same woke narratives that are actually unoriginal because they're pre-scripted to follow this woke ideology. And then anything that they make as a remake, they inject that same ideology into. So you just get a mess either way. And I think that's why they're floundering and failing. But something interesting, I think I remember hearing Jonathan Peugeot, who's Jordan Peterson's friend, who's really into like symbolism and meaning and stories and stuff, was talking about the original Snow White, and he framed it as like a coming of age story for young women. I remember he talked about like the dwarves kind of symbolizing like lesser men that aren't like worthy of a young woman as she's like coming into her own. And the prince represents the man that you want, the man who's going to be of the quality that you want to end up with if you're going to end up with anyone. And that's a big part of that storytelling, is like not finding a prince who just admires you because you're such an awesome girl boss, but a prince who is actually someone who's qualified, who's of the status and of the like standing on his own 2 feet, who's not this little dwarf of a man that is going to simp over you for nothing. People get all, you know, bent out of shape over like, oh, the man rescuing you from all this stuff. But it's like, it's a fundamental aspect of human nature that in order for humanity to persist, men and women need to find each other in romantic relationships. We should have, you know, it's cultural narratives that help facilitate that in a healthy way. And I think that the original Snow White is reflective of, you know, wisdom that we've borne out. Now, obviously, it has certain things that maybe, yeah, are perhaps dated for this time, but that fundamental truths of like, you know, yeah, you need to vet a man and make sure he's a good type of guy and not settle for lesser ones. Like, I think that's a pretty good message. And there's a lot of other stuff in there about like older women, you know, resenting younger women for their beauty and not wanting to let go of theirs. And there's so much profundity in the original stories, which go back before Disney, by the way, and to just, you know, take all of the actual substance and merit of that centuries of history and value and development of these ideas, and then to just use that as like lipstick of the pig of your ideology is pretty low. And I think that the ratings will reflect that.
Dude, I could yap about Snow White for like 10 years, and I'm going to continue right now on the stream because it's the last chance. You know, the trailer's out. This is it. The original Snow White that Walt Disney created was like an hour and 23 minutes, and he made it with like $1.5 million. And he went into debt trying to create this like first animated feature to really hit the screen. Now you have like a Snow White that's probably going to be like 2 hours plus. Like everything that's being created today is like far too long, but completely lacking in substance. And they take like $200-300 million and they sink it into these projects and they get no return on it. And you watch it, and this is supposed to be like a live action iteration, and it's so lifeless in comparison to what we got just decades and decades and decades ago from a studio that was just literally just pasting these animations out and working with pretty rudimentary technology to get these films out. And it's just devastating to see the change. And if you're watching the original Snow White and thinking this is not feminist in any way, shape, or form, I just don't know what movie we're watching. We're not watching the same thing. Every single like major plot driver in the original Snow White is female. You have the evil queen, who is like this all-powerful, albeit very much lacking in character, female force. You have the little evil witch that she turns into to give the apple to Snow White, which is like the catalyst of so much within the story. And then you have Snow White herself, who is just a powerful little teenager who's driving this story along and is the force for good that exists throughout this entire film. And she's met with a lot of turmoil and transgression. I mean, the film starts with her nearly being killed by a huntsman, which is not like this patriarchal version of man. It's a pretty evil thing. It's a man who ends up actually regretting this. He tries to kill Snow White with a dagger. Snow White gets away from this guy and runs off. And this guy is actually like brought down and devastated by the fact that he was so manipulated by the evil queen that he would go and do this to a little girl. So it's not like this ultra masculine, patriarchal, we love man film by any means. She shows up to see the 7 dwarves, and she's like, yo, your house is disgusting. She's like, your house is disgusting. I'm gonna fix this up. You guys don't know what you're doing. I'm gonna make you some food. Like, how are you living in squalor right now? And there's 7 of you. And mind you, the 7 dwarves, they don't have particularly kind names. This was like sleepy, dopey, you know, these are not, again, like peak masculine, we love men characters by any means. They're people who need a lot of development, and a child far younger than them ends up showing up in their life and teaching them like how to build connection, how to take care of themselves, how to cook, and what that looks like. And she asserts herself and is like, hey, I'm gonna I'm gonna stay here. I don't know what you want me to tell you, but I'm running away from a huntsman. This bitch is trying to kill me. I'm gonna chill in your house. And they go on, and just like the reason that people help Snow White is because of her character, and because they're so enamored by like this ultra feminine woman who's also strong but young and is carrying all this on her back and dealing with so much. So how you watched that film and thought, he kissed her without his consent. This is not feminist enough for me. Oh my gosh, she needs to be saved by a man. This is not feminist enough for me. The reason she even makes it to the point of being saved by anybody is because her character and strength is just like so overwhelming and so powerful that it moves grown men to search for her, look for her, and fight for her. And people go, that's not feminist enough. That we need to girl bossify her. She needs to save herself. Okay, well, good luck saving yourself. Like, good luck building community in a world where everybody saves themselves and women are all powerful. And I mean, good luck when you're met with the reality that that's not the case. And a 13-year-old girl, no matter how strong and wonderful and powerful she is, cannot often save herself when fighting against a literal evil regime that is sending huntsmen out to kill her with daggers. But please, live in your leftist utopia where everybody's a girl boss and the 13-year-old can save herself. I just don't know what to tell you.